would you welcome first into the blue corner, representing Team Fuzeta, Alfa Lee. And would you welcome his opponent into the red corner, representing the Storm Gym, Lynch.
So people, Daniel Sam, Glory fighter in the house, massive heavyweight.
And Glory really capturing the imagination of the moment, George.
Yeah, definitely. Of what people believe is a dying sport, whether it be Muay Thai, K1, with MMA evolving through, Glory is capturing, as you say, the imagination of the people.
Well, it's also bringing us the glitz and glamour of the top world-class boxing, isn't it? You look at it, and
exactly.
When you see a Glory show, you're thinking world-class boxing, world-level boxing.
Exactly. The production values of Glory is just ridiculously high. I had the pleasure of attending the one in London, and it blew my mind. We had Lenny Hart doing the announcing, just like the Pride days back then. You know, it gives it that touch, that little spark that really draws you in.
Well, two young men starting out in their career here in the K1 world. Alfa Lee from Team Fuzeta against Nicholas Lynch, who got a huge support here from the local crowd, the Storm Gym. So well supported here.
Yeah, heavily supported. I've actually seen Nick Lynch fight MMA before, a show in Watford.
Well, again, George, Storm Gym, Amir Sabasic, one of those gyms that fight across all disciplines. But this time Lynch is against Alfa Lee from Team Fuzeta in K1 rules. Stalking his man, high head kick, doesn't quite find the target. And Lee fighting a rear guard action already, looks for the knee, nowhere close to landing it from there. From a southpaw stance.
Yeah, the Team Fuzeta guy is standing in the southpaw stance. I'm wondering whether that will play a key role in this, because
well, Lynch looks to get close, George, and get inside that, but the thing is, when you get inside a southpaw, don't forget you're working towards his more dangerous hand, the left hand, so
exactly.
Lynch has got to be careful.
And that's what he's doing. He's covering up and then throwing that left, and sometimes you can't see that left coming from a southpaw.
Well, the worst thing is when you're coaching and you find out before the fight, literally just before, your opponent's a southpaw and you haven't trained for it. It can mess with a fighter's head.
Because everything you've trained for, you've got to do the opposite.
Yeah, it's always nice if you've got a southpaw in your gym and you can train with them.
Yeah.
Because, as I said, it does mess with certain fighters' heads when they find out on the day or just as they get into the ring that their opponent's a southpaw.
Especially if they keep chopping and changing, because that's how some fighters fight. So when I was taught Thai, I was always told that there's no such thing as a southpaw, because you learn to fight in any position that you're in.
That's right, that's how it should be, but traditionally from the old days of boxing through the old days of kickboxing, you're either a southpaw or you're an orthodox, and people that switched were told not to. Their coaches did not like it, they frowned upon it. Now, as you said, it's an evolving game all the time. And both these men, though, at the moment, just out of range for clean work. Neither man really got through cleanly with good work in this opening round.
Yeah.
And that might be, George, because of the southpaw stance against the orthodox fighter.
You often have trouble. Oh, it's a low one there, but well, while he's having a break, we can talk more about the southpaw orthodox thing, and you often have trouble with when there's a conflict in southpaw orthodox. You often have some head clashes, and that can often cause cuts and stuff within the fight.
Well, it's because the way you're naturally used to moving is away from what is considered your opponent's dangerous hand. You continue moving that way with a southpaw, you're actually moving into his dangerous hand. Exactly. He naturally wants to go one way, you naturally want to go to the other. You're right. There's often clashes of heads like that. There's often poor fights.
Maybe for Nick Lynch it would be a problem fighting the southpaw, but as a southpaw,
you're always fighting orthodox.
You're always fighting orthodox, so surely you should be used to it by now.
Well, Nick needs to be moving around outside the right hand. Good right hand from Nick this time, though, through the channel.
I'm not sure. Is that an illegal? Is that an illegal?
He's just saying not. It's an illegal. Yes, he's saying you're right, George. Not in K1. That's an illegal trip in K1, and he's telling the actual Fuzeta fighter. He's told him that he has warned his opponent. You're right. And again, that's what I'm on about the range and not quite being right. And a second one to the groin. Lee's not so convinced it was.
No, I'm pretty sure that was, to be honest. It's just one of those things, you know. 99.9% of all of those incidents are never. They're never intentional.
No.
You never intend it, but as part of combat sports, whereby you're hitting each other, it's just, especially with the way the southpaw versus orthodox again. We come back to it, but the inside leg kicks, it's really open to be,
That's right.
to be
You're
kicking
right.
the groin.
You're right. And I said the same with the knees. You do a jumping knee or your opponent jumps. There's so many variables that, oh, that was wild.
Well, Lee just threw a left hook from hell. If that landed, that would knock anyone out, but it's just a matter of landing it because it was so slow. It was like a haymaker, sluggish.
Well, it had a stamp on it. I mean, that was posted. And again, do you see what I mean? It's all so bitty, and sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes your styles contrast in such a way that you can't make the fight work. And I'm getting that vibe about this one. It's bitty, it's not clean, it's not nice to watch, and it's not the fighter's fault. It's just the way it goes sometimes.
Sometimes I think the best fights is when the referee's doing the less work. The less work a referee needs to do, the better the fight. And in this one, it's unfortunate the referee has to keep stepping in.
Now, there's something gone wrong with his shoulder here and his arm. Lee immediately went to his corner and said, there's something wrong with the arm.
He's just popped his shoulder back in.
It's out, it's going to be all over. His shoulder, you're right, has popped. I think they're looking.
I witnessed him just pop his shoulder back in.
That's unfortunate. As I said, I think it's because of this clash in styles. And our referee Mick Folger is saying the shoulder's popped out. And I think it's the way they kept clashing. It was awkward. As you said, no malice, no intent. But I think this is it. I think this could be all over.
The shoulder popped of Alfa Lee into the socket. He's unable to continue. Your winner by way of referee stoppage in round 2 is the red corner, Nicholas Lynch.